Hey, we're back. PD best damn evaluations. We got our mock draft here. Um, I did this with the same screen recorder that I did last time on the big board. So I'm not 100% sure. You know, or I wasn't 100% sure I was gonna look. I ran it through a filter. I improved it. This is a little bit better than the big board though. It's pretty much just you know one little picture kind of that has 3 rounds. Only did 3 rounds on the mock draft. No trades. Um, and I drafted it. I drafted it according to my big board and what I would do if I was the GM. This isn't a mock draft where I'm doing what I think they're gonna do, like other people do, just because it's early. It's before the combine. It's before free agency. A lot's gonna change. It's before any trades have taken place. Um, my draft's already hard enough. Plus, I just want to do it this way. I want to be GM and draft who the hell I want to draft. I'll do a real mock draft when the time comes and when I want to be more accurate. But this is more like my opinion of what teams should do based on team needs and roster cap restraints, situations as they are right now. And I'm kind of going my own philosophies as well. I'm not a pro of taking a quarterback if you're not ready. I think quarterback is a position that's most dependent on the talent around him. Not just the talent, not just the talent on the field, the GM, coaches, owner. I mean, the Jaguars drafted Trevor Lawrence. He was supposed to be this can't-miss prospect, but he had Urban Meyer as a head coach who's hanging out in Ohio after a game against the Cincinnati Bengals because he has that Ohio State fame. He's kicking kickers in preseason and stuff. You have a guy who's using company accounts to gamble and stuff. Like, that's not a franchise that knows what the hell they're doing. The Browns are another one. Like, gave up 3 first-round picks and a fully guaranteed contract that was the most outrageous contract in the history of NFL, and yeah, got nothing out of it. I mean, you obviously don't know what the hell you're doing. You drafted Brady Quinn, you drafted Tim Couch, you drafted Brandon Weeden, Baker Mayfield, fucking Johnny Manziel. Like, how many quarterbacks are you going to draft? And some of them maybe just sucked and weren't good, but some of them maybe you just ruined. Like, drafting a quarterback and putting him in a shitty situation isn't going to benefit that quarterback. I can't say it's the quarterback's fault when you need a good offensive line, you need receivers that can run routes, get open, and catch the ball. You need coaches that know how to fucking coach you up and prepare you, and can put you in a position to succeed and run the right scheme or whatever. I mean, it involves so much. So the only teams that I really think are going to draft the quarterback this year, or should draft the quarterback this year, Giants and Jets in the first round. I don't think the Raiders should. I think Tom Brady knows that being an owner. He's already said that, quarterback is the most dependent on other people. He's taken pay cuts in history so he could re-sign people around him. He was never the highest paid quarterback in the league, although he was always considered the best, or predominantly. I mean, Peyton Manning was there. Aaron Rodgers was there. I mean, he maybe wasn't considered the absolute best, but he's considered the GOAT because of Super Bowls and his clutch gene. And the dude's a beast. Andrew Luck's another one. I mean, now granted, his career was cut short due to injuries and other things, and he did great for the Colts. And he had the highest floor, but I'm not sure the Colts handled him the right way. You got the Rams and Eagles trading up for Carson Wentz and Jared Goff. Didn't work out for either one of them. Other than, I guess you could say, the Rams were able to use Goff and 2 first-round picks. They essentially just gave Goff away to get Matthew Stafford. And the Lions were more than happy because Goff's played great, and they used those first round picks to put talent around him and build a very competitive team. The Rams won a Super Bowl, so they're happy. They haven't really been close to a Super Bowl since. Like, they might not have made the playoffs, I think, 2 or 3 times since. I don't have all the data in front of me, but I'm not pro taking quarterback. I'm also not pro taking running back, particularly in the first round. So I got no running backs in the first round. I'm not pro taking quarterback just for the sake of taking quarterback. Last year I was cool with 6. There were 6 teams that were kind of ready and needed it. I was even okay with the Falcons. I didn't get mad at the Falcons. Kirk Cousins is old. He's coming off an Achilles injury, and he was cool with the Redskins Commanders, but the Vikings with Justin Jefferson, and they eventually got T.J. Hawkinson and Jordan Addison. I feel like they had a receiver before they got Jordan Addison. I don't know. Anyways, he was good with the Vikings, and I wasn't sure how he was going to be with the Falcons. I wasn't sure what kind of fit that was. And I love Michael Penix. Michael Penix balled out last year. I'm a UT fan. You know, hook 'em, baby. Hooksy. He killed us. He fucking just tore us apart. And the way he evaded the rush, I mean, that's the funny thing. People act like he wasn't mobile. He ran like a 4.5 40 or maybe sub 4.5 40. He was extremely mobile at Indiana. The only thing is he has injury histories, and you don't want him running the ball because you don't want him getting injured. He hasn't shown durability. Now, he hasn't been like Tua. He hasn't had like seizures on the field, but he has tearing ACLs and I guess messing up his shoulder. Anyway, it's neither here nor there. We're 7 minutes in, so let's go ahead and just start this video, but that's just a prequel. The production quality is probably not great. The screen recorder, I got to do something, but I did put it through a filter and improved it. But it is better than I think the big board. But yeah, that's what this mock draft is. It's what I would do. It's kind of my philosophies. It's my opinions. And it's kind of based off how I value or view the players right now, kind of with my big board. I didn't stay completely true to the big board because, there's scheme, there's, how do they complement, how do they fit in, things like that. So, I did have some leniency as far as my big board went, but I ultimately went the direction that I wanted to go and what I believe the team should go. And kind of off of team needs. And a lot of it is off of like what the draft has, position depth, position value within this current draft. Just because a position is valuable, if you don't have valuable talent, I'm not just going to draft it because I need it. If I don't think the defensive ends are great, which is a valuable position, or edges are great, I'm not going to take an edge in the top 10 just because he's the best edge in this class when I don't think he's fucking worthy of it. I feel the same way about quarterbacks. I'm not going to fucking just reach for a quarterback. So, running back is deep this year. I already don't really believe in taking running backs in the first. There's very rarely. Jonathan Taylor was maybe one. And it's mostly going to be in the back of the first because at the back of the first you have playoff teams typically. You have teams that are pretty good and have pretty good rosters and are squared away and can take a flyer on a running back in the first round. People have Ashton Jeanty going 6 to the Raiders. I don't get it. The Raiders have so many other position needs. I didn't get it at 12 to the Cowboys. I was like, are you kidding me? No. The Cowboys do not need to take a running back 12, and then they just moved him over higher. I was like, no, he won't even be there at 12. We're going to take him. Why would the Raiders use the 6th pick in the draft on a running back? That just sounds insane to me, and I highly doubt Brady is going to sign off on that. Anywho. It's nothing against Jeanty. Jeanty's still my running back 1. The Broncos, I don't think take a running back in the first round. Maybe. People try to bring up Sean Payton has a history of doing that. I don't know if he was the coach when they drafted Reggie Bush, but he was when they drafted Mark Ingram. But they also drafted Kamara in the third round, who ended up being better than Mark Ingram. Mark Ingram, you could argue was a bust and wasn't really worthy of first round draft capital. The Chiefs did have a Clyde Edwards-Helaire. You could argue that was dumb, especially considering that Jonathan Taylor and Devontae Swift went after him. Now, Taylor was my running back one in that class, but yeah. Anyway, I'm beating a dead horse at this point, but yeah, essentially that's where I'm at. Typically, when you overdraft a position, you're going to regret it. And the running back position's deep as fuck, and I don't think there's a big gap between Genty, the running back one in this class, and Dylan Sampson, running back 5 or 6, or Ollie Gordon even at running back 8, or Juggins at like running back 6 or something. Like, it depends on how you want to rank it. Whether you got Omer and Hampton, Caleb Johnson, Travion Henderson, Rashard Smith, whoever you got. I mean, yeah, the gap between 1 and 14 is pretty big, but the gap between 1 and 8 isn't that big, and then the gap between 8 and 14 isn't that big. So, honestly, in this draft, I think only 8 running backs go in the top 100. I mean, you're still going to have very good quality running backs going into round 4 available on day 3, I guess, in this draft. And when you can get, more scarce positions in round 1 and round 2 and round 3, then you're going to have an overall better roster. It's better roster construction. It's better, more efficient use of resources and draft picks or draft capital. That's my take on it. But anywho, I guess let's get into it. All right. I do want to do the mock draft since I'm going. So we'll go ahead and pull that up. Now I did a mock draft. I just did my big board episode. This mock draft is basically based off of my rankings, my big board, and how I think teams should draft according to my rankings before the combine based off team needs. I did this on PFF's mock draft simulator. Just to show you real quick, this is my big board. That's roughly the top 50. And then we'll scroll down. You can pause the video or whatever. I'm not going to go over each one. This is roughly like the next 100 or so. There we can. There we go, next 100 or so. With Nick Nash, number 100. I did 3 rounds, so I really didn't go outside the 300. Although I didn't stick true to my board because I took team needs and positional value, positional depth. Like if there was deeper position, like a lot of the running backs, I don't think got drafted. Dan Martinez didn't get drafted. I don't think Devin Neal got drafted. Malcolm Moore I don't think got drafted because safety just wasn't a need, and safeties kind of fell in my mock draft due to lack of team needs and I guess the lack of positional value. Whereas Dorian Strong got drafted. Did Kyle Kennard get drafted? I think Demetrius Knight got drafted. Not a lot of dudes outside the top 100 got drafted either, though. So for the most part, I guess I did stick somewhat true to my board. But anyways, so we'll go over that. And like I said, this isn't what I think teams are going to do. I'll do that later. Initially, I just want to go off my big board, go off team needs. This is before free agency will change things. This is before the combine. The combine will change things. Pro days, no trades have happened. All that'll change things. So there's no point in really trying to do a mock based on what I think will happen because that will change so much. So I just want to do a mock on basically right now what I think should happen. Assuming there's no trades, obviously the Titans would love to trade down, and I would explore trading down if I was the Titans or the Browns. Also, if I'm the Giants, I'm not trading up. I'm trading up to get Cam Ward. I'm not worried about anyone trading up to jump us. I don't think the Raiders are going to take a quarterback, personally. I didn't have them taking a quarterback. I think the Jets might, especially if New York goes quarterback. I actually got both of them ending up in New York. Cam Ward going to the Giants, Shadir going to the Jets. Now this, I guess I did do what I'm thinking about teams will do because Shadir is my QB4, and he's like the fucking 74th player on my big board with an 88 grade. I got Jackson Dart and Jalen Milroe 57-58 with 89 grades. So I'm not really big on this quarterback class. I like them better than other people, I guess. Like some people have Jalen Milroe and Jackson Dart way low. Some people have Quinn Ewers and Kyle McCord way low. Me, I think the gap isn't that large. I don't think there's a top guy. Now Cam Ward is the top guy for me, kind of by far. He's got like a 92 grade. What the fuck does he have? He got a 91 grade. He's number 35 overall. So he's almost in the first round. Almost in the top 32 on my big board. But yeah, like I'm not trading up for a 91 graded wide receiver. You know, fucking second round talent basically. That just wouldn't be smart. I'm not gonna. It's already risky taking him third overall. You're gonna trade up to get number one and everything you're gonna have to give up. Now that being said, I'm sure a team does it. I mean, the Panthers did it and it was fucking obnoxious. And they lost Caleb Williams and they lost DJ Moore for it. You had the Browns trade 3 future firsts for Deshaun Watson and give him an all guarantee. Now, it's not a rookie, but some people chasing this quarterback, the supposed, most important position and what you supposedly need. It is the most important position. It's also the most dependent position. It is extremely dependent on offensive line, scheme, coaches, general manager, the environment around them. Significantly. Wide receivers, a running game, a defense that can keep the score close to where you can run your full playbook so you're not one-dimensional. Because if you're always playing from behind, it's kind of hard to be a good quarterback when teams know you're throwing the ball and they can just let their defensive line pin their ears back and just run right at you. And then you end up getting, 50 sacks or something in a season, getting hit several times, getting beat up, losing confidence, throwing interceptions. It doesn't bode well. I'm a big fan of take best available, take team needs, and chase value. Buy low, don't pay high. I don't want to buy high. I want to buy low. I always want to get value. I would never trade up for a quarterback if I was a GM. I would actually trade down often. And the Bears, they had Justin Fields. They could have taken Bryce Young. No, they traded down. And they probably should have kept Justin Fields anyways. They should have traded the number 1 overall pick. You could have got a haul for who people want Caleb Williams. But with Ben Johnson there and stuff, I'm sure Caleb Williams is going to be fine. And that goes back to the environment. And they, had DJ Moore. They got Roma Dunze. They got some okay offensive linemen. They went out and got DeAndre Swift for them and Keenan Allen. So you get that experienced kind of mentor player who can really kind of guide you. They already had Cole Kmet. Now you go off and get him the offensive mind who can really maybe utilize all his weapons and put him in a scheme where he can really be successful with Ben Johnson. So Caleb Williams probably be fine, but without Ben Johnson being there, you probably wouldn't have been much worse with Justin Fields. You might have actually been better. DJ Moore had the best year of his career with Justin Fields as quarterback. And they didn't look that bad. If you gave Justin Fields, Keenan Allen, and Cole Kmet, and DeAndre Swift, who knows what you could have done with them. But that's not what we're talking about. I'm just using that to put it in perspective. In all honesty, most teams trading up for quarter. The Jared Goff one didn't work out. The Carson Wentz one didn't work out. Which ones have worked out? Curious. Let me know. And the funny thing about drafting a quarterback early in the first round, you're drafting early in the first round because you probably weren't a good team. Meaning you're not a quarterback away. and also meaning you probably don't have the right pieces around or on your team to produce or develop a successful quarterback, and you're ultimately putting him in a no-win situation where he'll probably end up being worse due to confidence or injuries or constantly changing offensive coordinators or head coaches. I guess an example would be Trevor Lawrence. You know, Trevor Lawrence is one of the top prospects to ever come out of college. Can't miss guy. He's got this huge contract now because, you drafted him number 1 overall and all this. But he starts out with Urban Meyer. And Urban Meyer's got chicks grinding on him. And he's not flying back with the team and stuff when he's in Ohio, missing his Ohio State days. And, other things. He's over here kicking a kicker or something and talking shit to I don't even know everything that's going on. Then you got like a general manager having his account stolen, or just dudes like making bets and stuff with some accounts. I mean, it's just one thing after another. And it's like, yeah, you're not the right environment to have a franchise quarterback because you're not even fucking a franchise right now. You don't even know what the fuck you're doing. Trevor Lawrence had 3 offensive coordinators, and has he had 3 coaches? I don't even know. Trevor Lawrence has not had a fun time in the NFL. It has not been fun for him at all, whatsoever. Hey, where's my thing at? So let me just wind this out a little bit. So, all that said, man, I really do. I milk it. I love to talk about nothing. I'm not a guy that really fucking stays on track and focused on the right shit. But this is my mock drafts. I got Travis Hunter going number 1. Bill Carter with the Myles Garrett thing going on stuff. Don't know if you're going to have to replace him or not. So that I got Cam Ward going to the Giants because I do believe Brian Daboll and them, they need to maybe try to save their job. And apparently people believe that they're good with quarterbacks, and they're going to take a stab, I guess, at getting a quarterback this year and hope it works out. I don't know how it's going to play out. I have no idea. I'm not even going to try to predict it. Theo Johnson, Malik Neighbors, Wan'Dale Robinson, there's weapons there. Tyron Tracy looked pretty good. He's a great receiver running back considering he was a receiver in college for the majority of his time before his senior year, redshirt senior, I don't know, fucking third senior year. He switched to running back after COVID years and redshirt years and injury redshirts or whatever. He was in college a long time. I got Patriots going Kelvin Banks. Start building around May. That was a team that drafted a quarterback when they really weren't ready, but it is a good franchise kind of. Kraft is a good owner. They're definitely in a rebuild situation. So it's not exactly a great situation, but it's not a toxic environment like the Jaguars or some, the Browns or, maybe even the Giants, some other situations are. It's actually a pretty professional environment. And I like Vrabel as a coach. We'll see what Josh McDaniels does as offensive coordinator. I was a big fan of his, honestly, but after what happened with the Raiders, it's hard for me to vouch for him or be too confident in him. But he's, for the most part, always been a pretty good offensive coordinator, so we'll see. I mean, he had Brady, too. He helped make Brady. I mean, Brady wasn't the Brady that we all know when Josh McDaniels took over as offensive coordinator, but Brady was still Brady. Got Mason Graham going to the Jags. This one is kind of crowdsourced. A lot of people have it. See team needs center guard, defensive line, cornerback. Mason Graham is kind of the best available right now, and they could just really use someone stout in the middle to complement Josh Allen Hines and Trayvon Walker, I guess. I don't know. I got Tech going to the Raiders. They're just bereft of weapons. They got Bowers, and that's pretty much it. They really need a wide receiver. And Brady being there and knowing how hard it is for rookie quarterbacks and knowing, what typically a quarterback needs to be successful, I think is why they pass on quarterback initially and try to fill out this roster. Being realistic, knowing that they're probably not going to compete for a championship, they very well could be picking top 10 next year, and there very well could be better quarterback options next year, and they might be picking higher, and they could also maybe address it in free agency slightly, or later on in the draft. Maybe that's a little foreshadowing. Shadir Sanders going to the Jets. Will Johnson to the Panthers. The Panthers have tried to draft DB a couple times, and they failed every time. With J.C. Horn, and then I guess they went out and signed C.J. Henderson and Okudah after they failed at their respective teams that drafted them, and yeah, they just they need a lot of help. They could go after Tet's gone. I don't have them going wide receiver. Tet's there maybe, but I don't think they're done with Xavier Legette. They got Jatavian Sanders. Jalen Coker's looked all right. They could also address, wide receiver in free agency or something. Bringing in a veteran to maybe help guide Coker and Legette, and even Bryce Young wouldn't be the worst thing. I think Keenan Allen to the Bears was really good for a Dunze and Caleb Williams, and something like that. I mean, they had Thielen there, so they did have that kind of, but Thielen wasn't healthy or on the field a lot. Maybe having someone that's actually available and there will help a little more. I don't know. He's on the sideline. He's looking at the fucking iPads and shit, going over shit. I'm sure he was helping. I might just be talking on my ass. The Saints go Michael Williams. Bears go Will Campbell. Kind of the same thing roughly. They have center and guard. I looked at their team. One of their tackles isn't the best either. Some people aren't sure if Will Campbell can play tackle. Either way, you can maybe move one of their tackles that they already have to guard, or if Will Campbell needs to for a year or two, he could play guard. I think he can play tackle in the NFL, but I think he's versatile enough that it's kind of just best player available, which is something that I think is very important because I'm a huge fan of protecting a quarterback and going offensive line, and I think this is a good offensive line draft, and I think it's just good value. And when you have a quarterback, I'm a big fan of setting him up to be successful. So you see that edge is maybe a need, but Caleb Williams, I drafted number 1 overall, and he had the year that he just had. Not that it was awful, but there's definitely room for improvement. I'm going to do whatever I can to help him improve. And I want to set him up going forward in the future. And Will Campbell is, 21.2 years old or something. He's solid. He could be a cornerstone left tackle for Caleb Williams' whole career. So why not? Josh Simmons goes to San Francisco. They want to run the ball. They need to be two-dimensional. They need to be able to win at the point of attack at the line of scrimmage. I don't know if Josh Simmons is the best at that. Maybe Mimbu would be the better option at that. He's more physical and dominant, but Josh Simmons might be the most versatile. He's kind of an injury, though, and I've kind of talked about him a little bit on my big board video. And some of the questionable rankings are, inefficiencies in his assessment or his grades, and some of the hypocrisy or lack of consistency and how they grade him as opposed to some other guys who maybe got injured or had not the best years or whatever. This one also, they could have went Mimbu, the Cowboys, but almost everyone has them taking a skill position. Some have it Genty, some have it Burden. I don't see a running back going this early. Personally, I think this draft is deep at running back. There's other positions that are more valuable and more scarce, where there's a bigger gap between the top end talent and the mid to late round talent, as opposed to running back, where there's basically top talent throughout the draft, in my opinion. I did a 3-round mock, and there's a number of quality running backs that didn't get drafted. So I'm not gonna go through for pick, honestly. Um, Mainly because I'm just not good at it and I take too long, and I don't think anyone wants to hear me talk or watch me for that long. I don't have that kind of following and that kind of appeal. I'm not that palatable. So that's just kind of roughly where I'm going. I guess I'll do Mimbu because we're here. Man, it's so hard not to want to touch on all these. The Dolphins, similar to with the 49ers, they need to be able to run the ball. A-Chain had a horrible yards per carry. Wright did too. I mean, every running back couldn't run the ball whatsoever because they were basically getting touched and hit at or behind the line of scrimmage. There was no push by the offensive line. There was really no holes. When I see every running back on a team fail to produce as running the ball, especially when you got A-Chain and Jalen Wright, two running backs that I think are pretty good. I'm gonna put on the offensive line or the scheme. Now, obviously, Tua getting injured, it was a shit show, and defense they're basically putting 8 or 9 in the box to force Tyler Huntley or Tyler White to throw the ball to make you use them. You're not gonna let you beat. I'm not gonna let you beat me running the ball. With A-Chain and Wright, and I'm gonna make this fucking quarterback beat me. I'm gonna make him throw and make plays in order for your team to move the ball or be successful. I'm gonna shut down the run whatsoever. So that played into it too. It's not like a perfect sample size. There's a lot of gray involved with this past season, but either way, tackle and offensive line is a need. They need to improve at it, get better, even to protect Tua. Although Tua did get hurt scrambling and trying to make plays with his feet, which is ill-advised, and hopefully it doesn't happen too often going forward. I don't even know how he got a concussion like that. Looked like he hit the dude in the chest pad. He lowered his head and hit him in the chest. I don't know. Whatever. Then I got the Colts basically going with a premier defensive prospect right there. James Pierce at 14 is a steal, I feel like. So Falcons, everyone wanted to go edge last year when they went Penix. Penix is probably the right choice, but this edge class is deep as hell and abundant. More so why that was probably the right choice, because this quarterback class sucks. You might actually end up getting a better edge in this class at 15 than you would have last year at 7. And you got a better quarterback at 7 than you would have at 15 in this class also. So, once again, hindsight is 20/20, but take value. Know the class, know the draft, know the talent that's available and where it's supposed to come off the board. And yeah, it's hard to predict the next year, but there's always a next year. And edge is something where there's always going to be players every year. Quarterback, not so much. Especially considering the quarterback class last year. This year is probably going to have a slight letdown. And yeah, we'll stop it right there, I guess. We'll just kind of touch on a few things. I got Tyler Warren going to the Broncos. I got Colston Loveland going to the Chargers. Harbaugh taking a player he's familiar with. Not taking a running back because of the deep depth at running back. Texans going off his line because they need so much off his line help. Grace Abel's versatile. He can play tackle or guard. Something else I think you kind of need. Keon Green was one of the worst picks fucking ever. Fucking hate that pick. I'm from Houston. So, Caserio fucking traded back. Jordan Davis and Kyle Hamilton are on the board at 13. He trades back to 15. The 13th and 14th pick are Jordan Davis and Kyle Hamilton. And I don't think he won either one of those, but I would have been happy with either one of those. They're not even available at 15, but honestly, anyone would have been better than Kenyon fucking Green, who he was in my top 60, top 50. I maybe had a mid to late second round grade on him. No way in hell did I have a first round grade, which you're picking a 15. That player should have a fucking first round grade. So we're trying to make up for that pick. But the opportunity cost from that pick too is just whatever. Thank God he traded down and didn't take him at 13. Holy fuck, that'd have been much worse. Not that what we got compensation wise going 2 spots was amazing, but at least it's something. That was one of the worst moves. Sarah's dumb. I have Dion Walker going in the first round. I like him. Some things you can't teach. You can't teach 6'6", 350 with his athletic ability and versatility. So I wish he had a little bit more fire, a little bit more attitude. Yeah. So I wish he was a little more aggressive and dominant. Yeah. He's young, and he played at Kentucky, and he was slightly injured supposedly this year. So is what it is. Oh, I do got Malachi Starks going in the first to Buffalo. I didn't think I had Malachi Starks going in the first. And I got the Chiefs addressing their offense, which they absolutely need to do. Could make an argument for defensive line considering how dominant the Eagles were, but the Eagles were mainly dominant on the defensive line compared to the offensive line. But, yeah, they dominated the line of scrimmage on both sides, honestly. But with Patrick Mahomes needing to protect him and, needing to run the ball to maybe help it and be two-dimensional, you also have to call run plays. You have to be willing to run the ball, Andy Reid. You had like fucking 2 or 3 runs in the first half in that Super Bowl loss. You kind of got what you deserved with that kind of game plan. Although I will admit, the strength of the Eagles is the defensive line, and they were way more stout. You probably weren't going to be too effective on the ball, but you got to just get a little creative. Run some jet sweeps or screen passes, an extension of the run game. Running the ball doesn't necessarily have to be running the ball. You just have to do some short yardage plays to keep the defense honest, where they have to guard the line of scrimmage, and not just pin their ears back and run down your quarterback, not just drop in coverage and eliminate the deep passes. Make them tackle people in the open field, make them go left to right, run laterally. Do some misdirection. I don't know why I'm telling you what the fuck to do. You're a fucking extremely successful NFL offensive mind, but it seems like for whatever reason you had amnesia or forgot what the fuck to do in that Super Bowl. It was almost like watching a whole game of the Russell Wilson thing. Like, the Russell Wilson thing was one play. They chose not to give Marshawn Lynch the ball. Suppose we wanted to make Russell Wilson the face and blah, 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 and wanted him to get the game-winning play. It's like the whole game was like that for Mahomes. It's like they just absolutely wanted Mahomes to just look to win that game for him. And they did nothing to help him other than call plays where I guess he had to be used. What is that? I got something on my screen. I don't like it. Is that a nick and cranny? Like, I got a scratch on my screen? What the fuck? How? How can I get that off? Like, that is not... That is annoying. I don't know what's going on with that. Man, I got really distracted. Sorry, I did that. HD. Anyways, Jalen Milroe going to the Browns. I got them just that quarterback right there. The Browns are an ugly franchise. Ugly weather, ugly city. I apologize, Cleveland fans. Cleveland does not rock. Drew Carey was wrong. But, like, even good quarterbacks who go to Cleveland typically don't play good. Like, it's hard to be a good quarterback in Cleveland. I don't know if they have, like, the wind like Chicago, but they have really bad weather. And maybe it's the fans, maybe it's the environment, maybe it's the state. I don't know, but you're not going to be a finesse team. You're not going to have a quarterback that's going to throw for a lot of yards, so embrace that. Get you an athletic guy who can run the ball, who can do some things with his legs, run more of like a spread option offense. And, just embrace the suck to some extent. you're not ever going to be a fancy, just explosive offense. I don't think you're going to be a fucking defense. You could be like the Eagles. I mean, if you want to have an explosive, the Eagles is your blueprint. Jalen Milroe is, a Jalen Hurts kind of cat. I mean, I don't know how they rank. I think Jalen Hurts grew a lot with Lincoln Riley going to Oklahoma, especially as a passer and, reading offenses and defenses. Maybe not being in the SEC and going to the Big 12 helped him out a little bit too. Gave him more time. Gave him, he had a more dominant offensive line compared to the defensive fronts he was going up against. He had a better receiver, had a better offensive mind. Kind of, I don't know. But I like Jalen Milroe. Jalen Milroe made some plays. He killed Georgia this year. Georgia was able to come back. The second half was a little different. But yeah, he had some awful games too. I'm a big fan of him, though. I like him. I like athletic quarterbacks. The small hands is worrisome. That's something that maybe happened. I saw it in the Senior Bowl. There was like a rep. I get it. You're like not familiar with these people. You're out there and maybe you're focusing too much on like the play and your mechanics and things that maybe some of the NFL coaches are telling you because you want to be a good student and do what they tell you. So but there was one rep where someone it might have been Mike Green or someone came around the edge and kind of pushed an offensive lineman into him, and the offensive lineman bumped his elbow and the ball just shot out during the Senior Bowl practices. And I was like, maybe those small hands are a bigger issue than I'm giving him credit for. But I didn't see that too much in college. I feel like he had better pocket awareness and, maybe would have evaded or been more willing to run. Like I said, it was a practice, so maybe he was trying to just stand in the pocket and, just he knew he couldn't get hit. He knew it wasn't a live game, so maybe he approached it differently than what he would have naturally. In other instances, I don't know. But small hands might be an issue. I got Ashton Jeanty going to the Raiders. You get Tetairoa McMillan and Ashton Jeanty in the first, second round. That's the first running back off the board. Patriots going Jaden Higgins. I got Harold Fannin going to the Saints. Third tight end off the board. Taysom Hill is going to have ACL injury, and he's getting older, and they could use some weapons. It's showing in wide receiver. They have Chris Olave. They have Rashid Shaheed. Rashid Shaheed. Bud Means look kind of okay too. I'm not gonna act like they don't need wide receivers, but they have some wide receiver talent that I'm not thinking they need to fucking reach or really prioritize it. This might be early for Harold Fannin. You might could get Harold Fannin in the third. I don't know. You might not even want Harold Fannin. Maybe you want a different tight end. I like Harold Fannin. 100 receptions in college. 1,300 yards. He's not even 21 years old yet. I mean, I don't know what else you want to see. I mean, he carried an offense as a tight end and 100 receptions and over 1,000 yards, 1,300 yards. I mean, he can't suck, right? And they got GPS data from the Senior Bowl. He was the fastest tight end there. Rojo was right behind him, supposedly. I'm curious if he runs faster at the combine. If he runs a 4.55 or lower, I'm super impressed, and I'm definitely drafting him in the second round with that production and that athleticism. I feel like it would be foolish not to. I got a Marion Hampton second running back going to the Bears. I also got Braden Swinson, so they're addressing the edge right there. Braden Swinson is a steal, I think. I'll pull up some data, I guess. Where's my data at? They have him way down here, 185th. Trevor Sikkema, 185th. He's got an 83 grade, 90 pass rush grade, 91 true pass rush grade, a 22.1% pass rush win rate. He had 9 sacks, 8 hits, 43 hurries, and 313 pass rush snaps. I think he's really good. I think he is underrated. I think some people he's going to be shooting up draft boards. I think the 22% pass rush rate. JT Tuimoloau 12%. How many pass rush snaps? 356 pass rush snaps. Who's someone that's similar to him? I want to get kind of like a look at Mike Green. Mike Green was great though. 20% pass rush win rate, lower true pass rush set grade, less hurries, more of everything else. I mean, this is a top 15. I had him going, I think, 15 to the Falcons. So I'm high on him. I'm not trying to dispute his greatness. What I'm saying is we think so highly of him, and Swinson is just slightly worse statistically. And from a grade standpoint and other things, he's right neck and neck with them. What's the run stop rate on him, actually? I didn't look at the run stop rate. 5.8%, so that's not good. You want a higher percent on that, right? Josiah Stewart, he only had 216 pass rush snaps. Josiah Stewart's another one, though. Almost 30% pass rush win rate. God, he looks so good. No, his best games were Fresno State, USC, Washington. Look at Braden Swinson. He was kind of consistent throughout. OU, Baylor, UCLA, I guess Arkansas. He didn't have like the real high graded games though, like Josiah did. He had 90 twice, 93, 90, and then 87, 81, and 75. I mean, he went hard as fuck though, so I'm not trying to take anything away from Josiah. He's another one I think that's gonna raise. It's really hard to tell what these dudes are. Let's go look at. Well, shit. I hate Jalen Walker's as a linebacker because they do the shit different. Like, there's no pass rush. We have pass rush grade, but not win rate. Not true pass set. You don't even show sacks. They show pass rush snaps, but like no sacks, no hits, no hurries. Like the whole metrics are different when he's listed as a linebacker. So you can't really see like for like, but whatever. Yeah. Jared Ivey's 280, right? Yeah. How big is he? He's 255. That's pretty close. And another great edge, though. I mean, just really good numbers all around. Had a good game against Georgia, Arkansas. Obviously, these two, Middle Tennessee State and what, Fordham? Whatever the hell it is. Fulham. Fulham, I think, is a soccer team. I got too much stuff in my head. Can't keep track of that small school. So yeah, that's where I'm at on Swinson. I got the 49ers going another offensive lineman / guard, Donovan Jackson. That's a good getting him at 43, I think. Talked about him on my big board. We got the Cowboys addressing the offensive line in the second round. Cam Williams. They could have went Bimbo in the first, Mimbu in the first, but I got him going Cam Williams in the second. There's Josiah Stewart going to the Seahawks right there. The first true linebacker off the board to the Broncos right there. But yeah, I just want to speed through this. This has probably been going on too long. Got Ronald Gatson going to the Chiefs. I feel like he could be the Travis Kelce replacement. Travis Kelce is a shell of himself, and it's becoming an issue. He's so slow off the line of scrimmage and getting into routes. Now he's savvy and he's smart. He has good chemistry with Mahomes and all that, but in the playoffs, he really didn't do great, and in the Super Bowl, he was like non-existent. You're gonna get Rashee Rice back at some point in time. I mean, there's gonna be I don't think he's coming back at the beginning of the season. I don't think he's gonna be like ready to go from a health standpoint at the beginning of the season. And I'm not sure that they're gonna start the suspension until he's healthy. I don't think they're gonna let him rehab and be on IR and that count as suspended games simultaneously. They may not. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see on that. But I imagine they'll do something. They still have Marquise Brown though. He's I don't know. I really don't know. They need more weapons probably, but they definitely need to think about replacing Kelsey. I don't think it's Jared Wiley. It could be Gray. Gray really played pretty well this season. I don't know if it's because he's second fiddle to Kelsey. I don't know if he can actually fill Kelsey's shoes. I mean, he wasn't highly touted. He wasn't highly drafted. But I don't want to hold that against him. I mean, he looks okay on the field, so maybe. But I think you got to go tight end. This is a good tight end draft, and I feel like this is a good spot to go Ronnie Gadsden. And Ronnie Gadsden can play wide receiver. A lot of people think he is a wide receiver, just listed as a tight end. He's not an inline tight end. He's not going to be an extension of your offensive line. He's not going to really improve the running game too much. One thing I want to show you, though, that's kind of funny is Tyler Warren. We have a 52.8 run block grade. 53.3 run block grade for Loveland. Yeah, Gunnar Helms abysmal, 43. Rojo, 61.3. I think Rojo is the best. What's Fan? Fan's a 75. People talk about, like, now maybe he's in the slot. Maybe he's not asked to run block a lot. I mean, they saw him in the Senior Bowl and stuff, like for like, so I don't know. But Ronnie Gadsden, 66. Harold Fannin and Ronnie Gadsden, the two they kind of say aren't really tight ends, or they don't think they have the highest run block grade. Now, like I said, maybe they're out there on safeties or outside linebackers, out in the slot. They're not really in line. I don't really know. But apparently they can run block. It's all about how you use them, right? When you're talking about Luther Burden needs to be used the right way, Ronnie Gadsden and Harold Fannin need to be used the right way. But if you use them the right way in the right offense, they can be game busters. They were actually more productive than Luther Burden. Well, I got going to the San Francisco 49ers. Probably the best place for him. If anyone knows how to use them, it's the 49ers. He could be a perfect replacement for Deebo Samuel, who looks a shell of himself. A little pot belly motherfucker. Savion Williams, someone I love going to the Panthers, so I got them kind of getting the playmaker and addressing that. He probably in the right pick. Honestly. Because he's like a Taysom Hill, Cordell Patterson maybe. He's like a taller, older version of Burden maybe. You might be more willing to go Burden right there, but he's 6'5", and he's got contested catches, and I feel like he has more versatile upside as far as that goes, and being a big target. I also think he's going to be faster. He's supposedly been clocked like 22.5 miles per hour or something. He's super fucking fast. I'm really curious what he runs. He also squats close to 600 and benches close to 350. He's a weight room warrior. He's a physical freak. He is old as fuck. He played wide receiver in high school, but his senior year he played quarterback because his team, in high school, sometimes you put your best athlete at quarterback and just let him kind of run around with the ball and do things. So he played quarterback, and he led them to a good record. I don't think they won the state or anything, but they went to the playoffs. They did pretty good. They won one district. So he goes to TCU, not having played wide receiver his senior year in high school. So he comes kind of green, doesn't do much his freshman year. I think redshirts. Then his redshirt freshman year, he had like maybe 15 targets. And he's got QJ there too. He's got like Chandler Morris and who was the old ass quarterback that they had that led them to the playoff? I don't know. He had like a couple different quarterbacks. He also had like DeMarcado and stuff rushing for like 1,500 yards. I'm curious of its situation. His age is concerning, but he has drops, which is so annoying. And it's like concentration drops. He's like looking upfield. He's trying to make a play before he's brought the ball in. he has good hands. There was one deep ball I think that he did drop, and that was bad. But most of them were on slants going to the middle where he's, trying to see the defense. And it's not really like he's scared. He's 6'5", 220. He embraces contact like they played him running back, and that's why I compare him to Taysom Hill and Cordell Patterson, because he could play running back at 6'5", 225 pounds. I mean, he is insane with the ball in his hands. He is a force and a problem for defense to bring down. Now, TCU was kind of one-dimensional and didn't have a real explosive offense, so defenses were kind of able to load up the box. And, when he was in the backfield running Wildcat motion and in there, whatever, and some kind of like weird T diamond formation, you'd basically be like in a shotgun with two halfbacks on each side of the quarterback, but like a yard in front. And then he would motion in and kind of be like in a pistol slightly in front of the two running backs that were adjacent to him. And it kind of made like a diamond shape. Or maybe he'd be like level with them. So it'd be like kind of a, I guess like a Tetris shape, upside down T maybe. I don't know. But yeah, it was pretty obvious he was running the ball when that happened. So you put 8 or 9 in the box then. But he still found ways to get yards and be productive, even when it was kind of obvious. It's almost like the tush push. I like him. I'm intrigued by him. I got Ollie Gordon going to the Cowboys. The Cowboys get the running back right there with Ollie Gordon. I'm going to trust the 23 tape, like everyone's telling me to do with Burden. Oklahoma State had an awful offense. They had an awful defense. So they usually were outscored to where they couldn't afford to give Ollie Gordon the touches that he needed and quality touches. And there's a lot of games he really wasn't even on the field in the second half because they had a receiving back, I guess, or maybe they were protecting him because it was a blowout and the season was gone. I don't know. He had a bad year. That's all I'm going to say. But Oklahoma State had a bad year. But you watch him, he didn't look bad. The team looked bad. And defenses were able to dominate them. But he didn't. It's almost like the Dolphins kind of. Is A-Chain bad? No. Did he look great as a runner? No. But no one's saying, screw A-Chain. He's a piece of shit. It's kind of how I feel about Ollie Gordon. So, that's where I'm at with that. Got a Rojo going to the Colts. A lot of people have the Colts maybe taking Tyler Warren in the first. I don't. My theory for this is hilarious. My theory for this is, why would you waste a first-round draft pick on a tight end that you're not going to use? You have Josh Downs. You have Michael Pittman. You have A.D. Mitchell. You have all these receivers that Anthony Richardson can't get the ball to. Why would you add another weapon that you won't be able to get the ball to? And it's a deep tight end class. You can address the position later on. So why not do that, but get, pieces that you're actually going to be able to use and benefit from that are actually going to contribute to you winning games in the first and second round, as opposed to getting a tight end who, I'm sorry to say, isn't really going to be productive because of the offense that you're going to run and the quarter that you have running the offense. I mean, sure, he gets tired and, he's got to miss some plays every now and then. He's too tuckered out to distribute the ball properly to all his weapons. So that's kind of where I'm at on that. It's a weird logic. Most people would probably not agree with that philosophy, but yeah, I'm not going to waste a pick that's not even going to make my quarterback better, that's not going to make my offense better because we're not going to be able to use them or benefit from them. I'm going to overdraft someone. It's almost like drafting a quarterback when you're not ready. Like, what are you going to do with that time? It's like Kincaid maybe. Now, I do think Allen can get Kincaid the ball, but your offense and the style of play isn't conducive to it. You didn't even have to get Kincaid in the first. You could have got Musgrave in the second. You could have got Kraft in the third. You could have done a number of fucking things instead of drafting Kincaid in the first. And that's kind of where I'm at with this. Like, why would you draft Tyler Warren in the first? Not that Tyler Warren's not worthy of it. I got him going in the first to the Broncos. But the Broncos will use him. Sean Payton has a history of using tight ends with Jimmy Graham and Taysom Hill and other fucking tight ends. And Bo Nix, I think, is a quarterback that can, benefit from a tight end, and the Broncos are in need of that weapon. The Colts might be in need of it, but they're not going to use it. They're not going to benefit from it. Not right now. Now, if your argument is to get the tight end for the quarterback that you're going to replace Anthony Richardson with in a year, okay, but maybe you don't have to replace Anthony Richardson. Maybe you improve that defense and you help your offense out by keeping scores close and giving you the ability to have your full playbook or run a more wide open or unpredictable offense. I don't know. That's where I'm at on that. I do have the Bengals going. Gunnar Hill got back-to-back tight ends right here. And Rojo, a lot of people have as a first or an early second. I mean, you're getting good value with Rojo here too. That's because I had Getson and Fanning going ahead of them. Most people don't have them going ahead of them. I got Dylan Sampson going to the Chargers. So the Chargers pass on running back in the first. No Gentry in the first. You go Loveland. They don't go running back in the second. Who'd they go in the second? Landon Jackson, so you get an edge in the second. I like Quentin Johnson. I think Ladd McConkey's fine. I don't have them going wide receiver. Either way, you can address wide receiver and the fourth if you want to. But I do have him getting his running back in the third. Dylan Sampson. I got Texans going as a Bond. I feel like that fits a need, especially if he is the fastest wide receiver at the combine or one of the fastest. He can help stretch the field out. He also can play with Tank Dell. They're both small, but they're different. Tank Dell's more of like a slot, kind of short yardage, yak kind of guy. Isaiah Bond's more of a deep threat, vertical threat, who can do that stuff too, but I think they can complement each other. They can complement Nico Collins. And they're both different than John Mechie or Stephon Diggs or whatever receivers we have. Quinshon Judkins going to the Saints. I guess I did that because of Kamara and they haven't been able to run the ball well, and Kendre Miller has not looked good. And I still don't believe that they really need a wide receiver, and I guess I didn't like the defensive lineman. I don't know. I went Judkins there. I don't know if that's the right pick or not. Saints are a tough team to kind of draft for, I feel like. Maybe I could have went Quinn Ewers or Kyle McCord right there. Oh, did I talk about the Raiders yet? Yeah, go quarterback Jackson Dart for the Raiders. I skipped that. Caleb Johnson for the Browns. Yeah, the Raiders get their quarterback in the third, Jackson Dart. Some people have him going in the first. I have the quarterbacks kind of slipping. Only two in the first. And no teams trading up for him. Of course, this is kind of my opinion too. This isn't really what I think is going to happen. This is what I think should happen. Today. Based off today. And yeah, Caleb Johnson just kind of reminds me of Chubb or Hunt, kind of some of the running backs they've had recently. Played in the Big Ten, so he's right next door to him. They probably scouted him a lot. He'd been easy to scout. He's not, far away, playing for Iowa. And yeah, I guess that's basically it. Nick Nash is my last pick. I like him. This is an intriguing guy. This is someone I want to touch on because no one's really talking about him and they're sleeping on him a little bit. So I'm just going to, introduce you to Nick Nash. If you don't know, now you know. I think he's going to run well. Excuse me. So he's only been a receiver for the last 2 years. As you can see, 2022, 2021, 2020, and 2019. And yes, that is 6 years of college football. So I don't know what his age is. He's probably going to be old as fuck. He might be a Devon Valley or something. He's 6'3", 200 pounds. San Jose State, all 4 years, but right here, passing. He was an ex-quarterback. I imagine he played quarterback all through high school because he was recruited as a quarterback and played quarterback in college. If you're good enough to play quarterback in college, I'm pretty sure you're good enough to play quarterback in high school. So he's very, very green as a wide receiver. It's almost like Luke McCaffrey. He had a position change late in his career. He missed the 2022 season. He had 3 rushes. I guess that's when he moved to wide receiver. So he didn't really pass as a quarterback, and so I guess there was a year gap where he was learning the position. Maybe he was injured and missed that year. Well, maybe yeah. He played at the end of the year, so I don't know what happened there. But maybe he was replaced as a quarterback and decided to do the position change, get on the field. I don't know everything about his bio, but 2023, basically his first full year as a wide receiver, he leads them in receiving yards. 728, 15 yards per catch, 58-yard long. He had a 54 and a 41 and a 51. Seems to be a deep threat. Seems to be a big play kind of guy. 8 touchdowns, so a red zone kind of guy, maybe 2. 3 of those against USC. He actually had a really good game against number 6 USC. They got blown out, so maybe that was some garbage time shit. I don't know. Anyways, we're going to the 2024 season. 100 receptions, almost 1,400 yards, and 16 touchdowns. 45, 40, 43. A lot of big plays being made. No super, super deep one, but that's insane to me a little bit. So, yeah, he's old. That sucks. If you're talking about dynasty football or something, but leading your team in 100 receptions, having been a wide receiver for like less than 2 years, is wild to me. 16 touchdowns. He led the nation, I think. Like, he led college football, I think, in receptions. Well, Harold Fannin led reception yards, I guess. But as far as wide receivers, Tyler Warren, another tight end. It's funny, 2 tight ends led the nation in receptions. But he was the number 1 wide receiver in receptions. He was the number 1 wide receiver in yards. He was the number 1 wide receiver in touchdowns. Doesn't that count for something? And he's 6'3", 200 pounds. Ex-quarterback. Has some rushing ability. Ran for a lot of yards. Could be a versatile guy. Maybe like Savion Williams. You can do some jet sweep and shit with him. I mean, I'm intrigued with him. I want to see what he runs. I'm curious how old he is, but I don't know if I'm going to hold that against him either. Because Devon Valley was really good. I mean, it doesn't matter. It matters more for him because he's going to be like 30 by the time he gets his second contract. But looking at that, I mean, yeah, he's still going to be green. He's playing for San Jose State. I mean, it's not the best competition. Who do you play against? Stanford, UNLV, Boise State, Oregon State. That's some quality opponents at the end of the year. 161, 126, 91. Wyoming, for the most part, had a good defense. It was a low-scoring game. 98 there, 9.8-yard average. Yeah, they weren't giving him anything downfield, so he had to grind that out. He shows that he can do that, run a variety of routes. He shows that he can get deep right here against Oregon State, the 26-yard average. 17 receptions. That's Kennesaw State. So, like, you know, okay. 16 against Washington State. That was a Pac-12 team a year ago before it imploded. I guess technically they're still a Pac-2 team trying to keep the conference alive. Went to double overtime. Not that Washington State was amazing this year. I'm not going to beat my fucking chest about Washington State, but hell, they only had 1 loss to Boise State. Got killed there, and then they lost a lot at the end. New Mexico, 3-point game, another 3-point game, a 1-point game. And they weren't bad. I mean, those are fucking 3 losses, but combined less than 10 points. 10 points, 17 points. You have 45 right there. 19, 16. They had a pretty good defense. They weren't giving up a lot of points to teams. Yeah, Mateer transferred, actually. He's a good quarterback. He might be the #1 quarterback drafted next year. Him or the North Sellers. And I like Dorian Mensah, too. Anywho, we're talking about the 2025 draft and Nate Nash right now. So, yeah, let's just minimize that. I just want to bring him up because I hadn't talked about him on my big board, really. And, yeah, I got him going pretty high. I'm a fan. I'm intrigued by him. I'm curious how he tests and things like that. And wouldn't be surprised if he shoots up draft boards. But yeah, that's my mock draft basically. Yeah, I like Elijah Roberts a lot too. Elijah Roberts, there's Makuba right there. I've already talked about Makuba. Elijah Roberts, I'll show Elijah Roberts because I do want to touch on him. I feel like he's going to shoot up too. He's an edge technically, right? Yeah. He's 73rd. I mean, he's not like, this is just a deep class. He's way down here, but it's still 73rd on the big board. I mean, that's just how deep this class is. Is he always that high? I don't know. Not everyone has him that high. Of course, not everyone has this many edges in there. But I wouldn't be surprised if he goes higher. I'm almost wanting to put him in the first. Back-to-back stellar years. All right. This past season, SMU was in the ACC. All right. So it's not like they're in like a bullshit conference in 2024. 2023, okay, they were in like Conference USA or something. 2024, he's playing Clemson. He's playing Penn State. That's a Big Ten team, though. He's playing Pitt, Stanford, Florida State. Got the Big 12 in there with BYU and TCU. I mean, he's going game busters, dog. 372 pass rush snaps, 45 hits. He had 45 hurries, 47 the year before, 13 sacks the year before. So, yeah, he did take advantage of, like, the weaker schedule a year ago. He's 6'4", 295. And outside the tackle. Almost 500 snaps outside the tackle at 6'4", 300 pounds. That's like a true edge. He's not over the tackle. He's not like a 3-4 end, which I think he can play. He has a good run defense grade. Has a decent run stop rate. His pass rush run rate is insane. This dude on paper looks special. I need to watch more film, honestly. I didn't watch a lot of SMU games. When I did, I was mainly watching Brashard Smith and shit like that. But that dude's I definitely want to see, and I've heard nothing but good things. I mean, I read about him, some of the draft profiles and things like that. Let's see if he has them. It's a 5.88 grade. Let's see what Lance Zerley's talking about. 69 production. That's not right. He's way more productive than that. Productive based in with good play strength who continues to add weight to his frame. Roberts has chalked up stats as a standing defender, but isn't athletic enough to play as a 3-4 outside backer in the NFL and might not have the brutality to play inside as a 3 technique despite his size. Roberts won't win. So I guess that's it. He's a tweener and they don't know how to use him. I don't think he's athletic enough to be. I mean, I feel like he could just be a 4-3 end, or a 4-3 defensive tackle. Maybe be better as a 3-4 defensive end. But in a 3-4, all your linemen pretty much need to be big and physical. And in a 4-3, your 2 DTs definitely need to be bigger and more physical. But in a 4-3, having a 6'4", 300-pound end. I don't know. He sounds kind of like Chris Jones, maybe. That sounds like. I mean, but when I look at his measurables, I see his production. I don't think Chris Jones was drafted super fucking high. I mean, people didn't know Chris Jones was Chris Jones before Chris Jones became Chris Jones. think it was like a third or fourth round pick. I don't know. Let's see. Second 37. He's early as fuck. Never mind. I'm all wrong. Mississippi State. He ran a 5-second 40. He was 6'6", 310 pounds. So he's actually taller and bigger than arm length. Only 26 reps on the bench, though. That's not extreme strength, but we're more so talking about play strength. Bench isn't always necessarily a huge indicator of play strength. But yeah, big fan of Elijah Roberts. I'll watch more film on him. Honestly, I haven't watched any film on him really. I've mainly been going off of stats and analytics and just data on that one. I need to get film on some of these guys a lot more in depth. Like I said, he was rated lower, and I kind of found him going through the data and really liked what I saw. So I think he could rise. I think people might be wrong about him. But it's a fair assessment what Lance said, in all honesty. Tweener, if he's not fast enough to be, the outside, linebacker kind of one at 295 pounds, I'm surprised he was even good enough in college. I think it'd have to be a 3-4 end or a 4-3 end. I like him as a 4-3 end regardless, I think. And with his size, athleticism, I feel like he's versatile enough that you can play him all over. But yeah, him being a standing rusher, probably, and without having a lot of experience putting his hand in the dirt, you're not sure how he'll handle that or how he'll do doing that in the NFL. So, that is something that, edges have to deal with. You go from stand to put your hand in the dirt. This is a whole different ball game. Getting in a stance, having to look at the ball and judge the snap count a little bit from a stance, having to attack, with, pad level and stuff out of a stance. It's different than being a standing rusher. It is crazy that at 300 fucking pounds, though, he was a standing rusher. That was something I liked about him. But let me go back and look at what did he have a PFF? B gap 22 times 22, 57, 56 times over the tackle. Yeah, I wish they used him all over the line a lot more, honestly. That would make things a little easier. Like Birch, he was over the tackle 123 times, and like Birch is in the same boat. You got him, fucking 300 pounds, 6'6", and he's a standing rusher, but they also used him with his hand in the dirt and other things. So yeah, I don't know. Anywho, this is gone probably won't way too long. That's my mock draft. Feel free to comment, talk shit, criticize, do all you can do. Like I said, this is kind of based off of my big board. So how I value or rank the prospects today, February 26th. And then the team needs today. Free agency is going to happen before the draft, as well as the combine and other things. So this is fluid. This is extremely fluid. And this is what I think they should do. This is how I grade the teams and the prospects and assess their draft capital and their usage of it accordingly, in my opinion. This is not what I think is going to happen. What I think is going to happen is a whole bunch of things, and there's not really a reason doing what I think is going to happen right now, because I'm not really sure how I feel about all these prospects, all these teams, and what their team needs are, because of the cap being more higher than what they expected, certain franchise tags, free agents, it's just everything. So it's easier to do mock drafts after free agency, and obviously after the combine too. You get a little bit more clarity on the prospects, being able to assess them, but more so the teams. You get a better idea of what the teams need and what the teams are looking to add in the draft. And then you'll have a couple of actual trades maybe before the draft, and so you'll see what teams are making moves and who they have a pretty good idea of who they're targeting and what they're trying to do based off those moves. So yeah, this is just preliminary, right out the gate, early bird special right here, and it's just more my opinion. If I was GM and I had to draft today based off of how I view these prospects and these teams, this is what I would do. Which I kind of, I guess, discussed in pretty good detail over this last hour. Anyways, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. Peace out.